When I turned 60, I felt like it was time to do something special. My family had always been so important to me, and I'd spent years taking care of everyone else. So I decided to throw myself a grand birthday celebration, something memorable, something that would bring us all together. I spent weeks planning every detail, wanting everything to be perfect. I chose a menu I knew everyone would love: roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, and of course, my famous chocolate cake. I even bought a new dress, an emerald green one with delicate lace trim that I knew would look stunning. It was a special occasion, after all. I wanted to look my best, to feel appreciated, and to celebrate the years I'd spent raising my son, Adam, and being a grandmother to his two children, Mia and Noah. The day before the party, I carefully set the table for 10. I had chosen the good china, something I usually only brought out for special occasions, and arranged it neatly. Each plate had a place card with a name written in my best handwriting: Adam, Lena, his wife, Mia, Noah, my sister Mary, and her husband Greg. I even included myself at the head of the table, a spot I always thought would be a fitting place for a mother and grandmother who had spent so much of her life holding everything together. The candles were lit, casting a soft, warm glow throughout the room, and the smell of the roast chicken filled the air, mingling with the scent of fresh roses I had placed in the center of the table. Everything looked perfect. I felt proud of the effort I had put in and couldn't wait for the family to arrive. It was supposed to be an evening of laughter, conversation, and togetherness. But as the clock ticked past 6 p.m., I started to feel a knot form in my stomach. I checked my phone, expecting a message or call saying they were on their way, or maybe that someone was running late. I thought to myself, maybe there was traffic or some minor inconvenience. But when I checked my phone again at 6:30, still no messages. At this point, I couldn't help but feel something was off. I had sent reminders to everyone just a few days before. I knew my calendar was correct. The dinner was supposed to start at 6. Still, I told myself to be patient. Perhaps there had been a delay, and it was just taking longer than expected for them to arrive. By 7, my nerves were starting to get the best of me. I called Adam. His phone went straight to voicemail. I called Lena's phone next. Same thing. No answer. I even tried calling my sister, Mary, but there was no response from her either. This was strange because Mary always picks up on the second ring. My hands started shaking, and I stood there, staring at the empty chairs around the table. I glanced at the roast, getting colder by the minute, and the chocolate cake, which looked perfect, still untouched on the counter. The whole house seemed eerily quiet. The silence felt heavy, as if the air itself was holding its breath. I kept telling myself there must be some mistake, that they were just running late. But by 8, I knew something was terribly wrong. No one was coming. No one had called to cancel or explain. I slowly sat down at the head of the table, staring at the empty seats. The place settings, all arranged with such care, felt like cruel reminders of what should have been. I looked at the table and the untouched food, which had been prepared with so much love, and I couldn't help but feel the weight of it all. I was being left behind. I picked up my phone again, half hoping for an explanation. Maybe a message would come through now, something that would explain it all. But as I scrolled through social media, my heart sank when I saw the first post from Lena. There she was, smiling brightly in a colorful swimsuit, her arm around Adam. Both of them were standing in front of a breathtaking beach sunset, the kind of view I had always wanted to see with my family. The caption read, "Enjoying a much-needed family vacation in the Bahamas. Grateful for these special moments." I stared at the photo, my breath catching in my throat. My son, my daughter-in-law, and my 2 grandchildren were all there, having a beautiful vacation without me. I scrolled further, and the photos didn't stop. There was one of Mia and Noah playing in the sand, Adam holding a cocktail by the pool, Lena laughing under the palm trees. The pictures seemed to mock me. I felt a deep ache in my chest as I realized they were all there, thousands of miles away, celebrating without me. I set the phone down slowly, feeling the tears well up in my eyes. Just then, I saw the message from Adam. "Sorry, Mom, forgot to mention we were away this week. Lena booked a surprise trip for the family. Happy birthday, though." Happy birthday. That was it. That was all. As if this was just a minor mistake, a forgotten detail. As if it didn't matter that they had all gone away on my birthday, leaving me alone, forgotten in my own home. I couldn't believe it. The anger, the hurt, and the disappointment all came crashing down on me in that instant. I wandered into the kitchen and stared at the cake. The frosting seemed to mock me. All the effort I had put in, setting the table, making sure everything was perfect, buying a dress I hoped would impress them, was for nothing. The house felt unbearably quiet now. The silence seemed to press in from all sides, and I felt it like a weight in my chest. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I didn't know what to do. I just stood there, staring at the cake that no one would eat and the roast that no one would taste, feeling the hurt settle into my bones. I lay in bed that night, wide awake, replaying every family gathering over the years. There were so many missed moments. Mia's birthday party last year, when I had arrived at the venue, only to be told it had been moved to another day, even though I could hear the laughter inside. Noah's first soccer game, when I was told it was too early, but later learned they had invited friends to watch. All of it was starting to make sense now. This wasn't an accident, and it wasn't just a missed dinner. It was deliberate. I was being excluded. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't confront Adam yet. I didn't have proof. I couldn't just accuse Lena without something more concrete. So I kept quiet, kept the hurt to myself, but deep down, I knew that something had changed. I wasn't just forgotten. I had been erased. The days after the party felt like I was trapped in a fog. I didn't know what to do with myself. Each morning, I woke up and went through the motions, making breakfast, cleaning up, tending to the garden. But there was a heaviness in my heart that wouldn't lift. The emptiness of the house echoed the loneliness I felt inside, and every corner seemed to remind me of what had happened. I couldn't shake the feeling that everything I had worked for, everything I had sacrificed for my family, had been wiped away in an instant. I spent hours sitting by the window, watching the traffic pass by, trying to distract myself with thoughts of the past, my childhood, my time with Adam when he was a little boy. I had been a good mother, a good grandmother. I had given them everything, from the warmth of my love to the stability of a home they could always count on. And yet, it all seemed so fragile now, like it could crumble with a single misstep. How had it all come to this? The phone call from Adam came the day after the dinner fiasco. I didn't want to pick it up. Part of me felt like I couldn't face him. Not yet. Not after seeing those pictures, after reading his brief text. But eventually I did. His voice was warm, but I could hear the strain in it. I know it's been a tough week. I've been thinking about you. Let's talk soon, okay? There it was again. Let's talk soon. As if nothing had happened. As if I wasn't sitting alone in the house they had all abandoned. As if he hadn't just erased me from their lives. Adam, I said softly, my voice trembling despite my efforts to keep it steady. I saw the photos. The ones from your trip. The family vacation. There was a long pause. I could hear him shifting on the other end of the line. Mom, I'm sorry. I should have told you about the trip. Lena surprised me with it. It wasn't planned that way, I swear. I interrupted, feeling my anger rise despite myself. You were all on a cruise without me. A family cruise on my birthday, and you didn't think to mention it? I didn't realize it would be such a big deal. Lena said it would be good for the kids, a way to spend time together. His voice was growing defensive. I should have told you. I know, I wasn't trying to hurt you. It wasn't just about the cruise, though. It wasn't even about the dinner. It was everything. It was the years of missed moments, the times when I felt like a second thought in their lives, pushed to the periphery. I wasn't sure where to start, so I just said what was weighing on my heart. Adam, this isn't just about the trip. It's about all of it. Mia's birthday, Noah's soccer game. Every time something happens and I'm left out. Every time I'm told something has been rescheduled or I'm not needed. I've been pushed aside for a long time now, and it hurts. There was another long silence. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter, more uncertain. I didn't know it had been that way for you. I honestly thought you understood. I thought you'd be okay with it. She's been doing what she thinks is best for the family, Mom. I never meant for you to feel left out. The word stung. Doing what she thinks is best. It wasn't about what was best for me. It was about what was convenient for them. I felt the weight of all those years of feeling like a secondary figure, like I was just there when they needed something from me. No one had ever asked how I felt. No one ever thought to check if I was okay with how things were being done. Adam, it's not just about what Lena thinks is best, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. It's about respect. It's about understanding that I am still a part of this family. You can't just erase me when it's convenient for you. I'm your mother. I'm the one who raised you, who held everything together, and this whole thing, this feeling of being invisible, has been happening for a while now. I could hear him breathing on the other end of the line, a long sigh escaping him. I didn't realize. I didn't see it like that. I'm sorry, Mom. I really am. I should have been paying more attention. I didn't know what I expected from him. Maybe I thought he would say all the right things, maybe apologize and vow to change. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to simply say sorry. I had given so much of myself over the years, and all I ever asked for was to feel valued. And in that moment, it was clear to me that I wasn't just fighting for acknowledgement. I was fighting to hold on to my place in my family, a place that felt like it was slipping away. The conversation didn't go much further. He said he'd make time to visit soon, and I told him I'd be here. But in my heart, I knew things had changed. The foundation of trust had been cracked, and though Adam didn't fully realize it yet, the damage had been done. Later that day, after our conversation ended, I couldn't shake the feeling that something else was missing. Something had shifted. I went to the garden to clear my mind, pulling weeds absent-mindedly from the flower beds I had lovingly tended to over the years. The thought of being pushed out, of being replaced by someone else's version of family, filled me with a deep sadness. I wasn't just hurt by Lena's actions. I was hurt by the fact that Adam didn't see how serious this was. He didn't understand how much I had been hurting. It wasn't just about the trip or the dinner anymore. It was about the slow, insidious way they had built a life without me at the center of it. They had pushed me aside, and all I had been left with was the quiet ache of being irrelevant. A few days later, I received a visit from someone I never expected. David, the man from Lena's past. I had no idea who he was at first, but when he mentioned my son's name, I froze. He was there to tell me the truth, something that had been hidden for far too long. I was about to learn that Noah, my beloved grandson, wasn't even Adam's biological son. The man standing in front of me, David, was Noah's real father. David's words hit me like a punch to the stomach. He told me how Lena had disappeared from his life when she became pregnant, and how he had searched for her ever since. The realization that I had been living in a house built on lies was a hard pill to swallow. How had I not seen this before? How had no one known the truth about Noah? David had no reason to lie to me, and as he shared his story, the pieces started falling into place. Lena had manipulated her way into Adam's life, and in doing so, she had erased everyone who might question her. It wasn't just about controlling Adam. It was about controlling the family's narrative, pushing me out when I started asking questions, when I started to see the cracks. I felt a mixture of rage and disbelief. For years, I had been fed lies, and now the truth was finally unraveling. It wasn't just about a family vacation or a birthday dinner. It was about the careful web of deceit Lena had woven, trapping us all in her version of the world. The more David spoke, the more I realized how much I had been left in the dark, how much of my life I had spent trying to hold on to something that was never really mine to begin with. And now, standing in my own house, listening to the truth, I knew I had to face it. This wasn't just about a family dinner. It was about reclaiming my place in a family that had forgotten me. What hurt the most wasn't that Lena had lied to Adam. It was that she had lied to me too. The next few days passed in a haze of disbelief and frustration. I couldn't stop thinking about what David had told me. The shock of it all made it hard to concentrate on anything, and yet I couldn't help but replay every word in my mind. How had Lena pulled this off? How had I been so blind to the fact that Noah, I wasn't Adam's son? How could someone go to such lengths to deceive an entire family? It wasn't just about the lies anymore. It was about the fact that I had spent so much of my life believing in the story that had been woven around me, and now everything seemed to be falling apart. I felt like a fool. The truth hit me harder than I could have ever imagined. How could my son, Adam, be so completely taken in by Lena's manipulation? How could I have been so naive to not see it sooner? That night, after a long, sleepless evening of trying to process everything, I decided that I couldn't stay silent any longer. I had to confront Adam. I had to tell him the truth. If he was going to understand the gravity of what was happening in our family, he needed to know everything. I couldn't just let him go on living this lie, letting Lena control the narrative. I called him the next morning, my hands shaking as I dialed his number. My heart pounded in my chest as the phone rang, each second feeling like an eternity. When he finally answered, I could hear the tiredness in his voice. "Hi, Mom," he said, a hint of concern in his tone. "What's going on? Are you okay?" "No, Adam, I'm not okay," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "I need to talk to you. It's about Lena and Noah." There was a pause on the other end. "What about them?" I took a deep breath. "Adam, I need you to listen to me. I've been talking to someone who knows Lena from before she met you. His name is David, and he's the father of Noah. He came to my house the other day, and he told me the truth about everything." I could hear the disbelief in his voice. "What are you talking about, Mom? David? What truth?" I clenched my fists, fighting the wave of frustration and anger that threatened to overtake me. "Lena lied to you, Adam. She's been lying to all of us. Noah isn't your son. He's David's son. Lena had a relationship with him before she met you, and when she became pregnant, she disappeared from his life. Now, all these years later, she's been manipulating you, controlling our family, and isolating me from you." There was silence on the other end of the line. I could almost hear the gears turning in Adam's head, the shock and confusion taking over. Finally, he spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "Are you telling me the truth? Is this really happening?" "Yes, Adam, it's the truth," I said, my voice shaking. "David showed me the DNA results. He's been looking for Noah for years, trying to get answers, and now he knows that Noah is his son, not yours. Lena has been hiding this from all of us, controlling everything. She even erased me from your life, made you believe I didn't matter." I could hear Adam's breathing grow heavier, his shock morphing into disbelief. Why would she do this? Why would she lie about something so huge? "I don't know, Adam," I replied, the weight of the situation pressing down on me. "But I do know that she's been isolating you from your family. She's manipulated you into believing her version of everything, and she's used you to create a family that wasn't built on truth." The pain in Adam's voice was clear when he spoke again. "I don't know what to think right now, Mom. This is all too much. I've built my life on a lie, and now I'm supposed to just accept it? I'm not asking you to accept it right away, Adam. I just want you to understand what's been happening. I've been trying to get through to you for months, and now I can't just stand by and watch Lena tear this family apart." He was silent for a long moment, and I could hear him breathing heavily. When he spoke again, his voice was softer, almost defeated. "I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix this. I never thought she could do something like this." "I know, sweetheart, but you can't fix it alone. You need to see the truth, and you need to understand what's been happening all these years. I can't just stand by and watch you get hurt anymore. We have to fight for the truth, for our family." The words hung in the air between us, heavy with the weight of everything we were dealing with. I could hear the tension in Adam's voice as he processed everything, trying to come to terms with the fact that his entire life had been built on something that wasn't true. I'll think about what you said, Mom. I don't know what to do right now, but I'll talk to Lena. We need to figure this out together. But I don't know if I can ever trust her again. You don't have to make any decisions right away, Adam, but you do need to face the truth. And you can't let Lena control everything anymore. You need to start thinking for yourself." The conversation ended shortly after that, and I was left in a quiet house once again, my heart heavy with the knowledge that everything had changed. I didn't know what the future held for Adam or for me, but I knew one thing. I couldn't let this go. I couldn't let Lena keep us trapped in her web of lies. The next few days were a blur of emotions. I tried to give Adam space to process everything, but I couldn't help but feel the weight of his absence. He hadn't been to visit, and the silence between us was deafening. But then one evening, as I was finishing dinner, my phone rang. It was Adam. "Mom," he said, his voice shaky but determined, "I need to talk to you. I've been thinking a lot about what you said, and I'm ready to confront Lena. I don't know what's going to happen, but I need you to be there with me. I don't want to lose my family, but I can't keep living a lie." I felt a wave of relief wash over me. Finally, he was seeing the truth. Finally, we could begin to rebuild the broken pieces of our family. "I'm here for you, Adam," I said softly. "We'll get through this together." The road ahead was uncertain, but at least now, we were facing it together. For the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of hope. Hope that we could heal, that we could find our way back to each other. The truth, no matter how painful, would set us free. The days that followed felt like I was walking through a fog, unsure of what to expect, but also hoping for something, anything, that could give me a sense of resolution. Adam had told me he was going to confront Lena, but the silence in the days leading up to it was unbearable. I couldn't sleep, couldn't stop thinking about how my son, the person I had raised with so much love, had been so completely manipulated for years. It wasn't just the shock of the lies, those could be dealt with. It was the fact that my own family had been so blind to the truth. How had they allowed Lena to pull all the strings, keeping us apart, making us feel like we were the problem when in reality it was her all along? I spent those days rethinking every moment I had with them, the family vacations I missed, the birthday parties I wasn't invited to, the times I was told things had been rescheduled or moved around at the last minute. It all seemed so clear now. The pattern of exclusion, the quiet manipulation that had slowly taken me out of the picture. At first, I had thought it was just my imagination, that I was overthinking things. But no, the truth was finally in front of me, and it was undeniable. Finally, the call came. Adam's voice on the other end of the line was steady but strained. "Mom, I did it. I talked to Lena." My heart leaped in my chest, a mix of anticipation and fear. I waited for him to continue, but there was a pause on his end. "She didn't take it well," he said. She denied everything, told me I was wrong, that it wasn't like that. She's angry, Mom. She's trying to twist everything around, and I don't know what to believe anymore." The words hit me like a blow to the stomach. Of course, she wouldn't just admit it. That wasn't Lena's way. She wasn't going to confess or apologize. She was too far gone, too wrapped up in her own version of the truth. I had known this was coming, but hearing it from Adam's mouth made it all feel more real. I had hoped for some small shred of honesty, some recognition of the damage she had caused. But instead, it was just more denial, more manipulation. "I'm so sorry, Mom," Adam said, his voice breaking a little. "I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't know what to do. But I need to figure out what's best for me now, for all of us. I need space. I need to think." My heart sank as I realized what he was saying. This wasn't just a conversation between a mother and son anymore. This was the unraveling of everything we had built together. Adam was conflicted, torn between the woman he had married and the mother who had always been there for him. And as much as I wanted to comfort him, to tell him everything would be okay, I knew that wouldn't be true. We couldn't just go back to the way things were. The damage had already been done, and it would take time to heal. "I understand, Adam," I said softly, though my voice felt heavy. "I know this isn't easy, but I want you to know I'm here, no matter what. Take the time you need, but don't let Lena manipulate you any longer. She's been doing this to both of us for years. It's time we stop letting her control everything." "I know, Mom," he said quietly. "I'll talk to you soon. I just need some time to process all of this." The call ended, and I was left standing there, feeling more alone than I ever had before. I thought back to all the years of quiet support I had given Adam, all the sacrifices I had made for him, and now it felt like everything was slipping through my fingers. He was still my son, but he was also an adult now, and he had to make his own choices, and I wasn't sure where I fit into his life anymore. The next few days were a blur. I did what I always did. I tried to keep busy. I spent time in the garden, pruning the flowers Adam and I used to plant together. I went for long walks, trying to clear my head, but nothing seemed to help. Everywhere I looked, I saw reminders of what we had lost. The house felt too quiet, too still. The photographs on the walls, the little trinkets from family vacations, they all seemed to mock me. Everything had been built on lies, and now it was all coming apart. I knew I had to confront Lena. I couldn't just sit back and let her get away with all of this. I had spent too many years letting her manipulate me, letting her dictate the terms of my relationship with Adam and the kids. I couldn't let her destroy what was left of my family. One afternoon, I picked up the phone and called her. The moment the call connected, I felt the familiar sense of tension in my chest. Lena always had a way of making everything seem so calm on the surface, like she was in control. But I wasn't afraid of her anymore. "Lena," I said, my voice steady, "we need to talk." There was a pause on the other end of the line before she spoke. "What is it now, Loretta? Is this about Adam again? He's upset, I know, but you can't keep interfering in our lives. We've made our choices." I took a deep breath. "No, Lena, it's not about Adam anymore. It's about the truth. You've been lying to all of us for years. You've been manipulating Adam, and you've been isolating me from my own family. It's time for you to stop." There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. "I don't know what you're talking about. You've always been so dramatic, Loretta. Everything has always been fine. Adam and I are happy. Mia and Noah are happy. This is all just nonsense." "No, Lena, it's not nonsense. Noah is not Adam's son. He's David's son. And I know what you've been doing to all of us. It ends now." I could hear her silence, her frustration building. "You have no idea what you're talking about," she snapped. "You're just trying to tear us apart because you're jealous. You always have been. Adam chose me. He loves me, and he doesn't need you interfering." "Lena, I'm not trying to tear anyone apart. I'm trying to hold this family together. But you can't keep living a lie. You've hurt Adam, you've hurt me, and you've hurt Noah. It's time to face the truth." There was another long silence. I knew she was trying to control the situation, but I wasn't going to let her anymore. I had lived too long in the shadows of her manipulation. "I'll make sure Adam knows the truth, Lena. He deserves it. He deserves better than the life you've built for him." The line went dead. I stood there, staring at the phone in my hand, feeling a sense of finality wash over me. The truth was out, and now it was up to Adam to see it. I couldn't force him to accept it, but at least he would know. At least he could decide for himself. The road ahead was uncertain. I knew there would be more pain, more difficult conversations. But for the first time in years, I felt a sense of clarity. I had done what needed to be done. I had faced the truth, and now it was time to let Adam decide what he wanted for his future. All I could do now was wait and hope that the truth would bring us closer, not tear us apart. The days that followed felt like an emotional roller coaster. After my confrontation with Lena, I expected a certain amount of tension and chaos, but the silence that settled in the aftermath was deafening. Adam hadn't called me, and despite everything, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of longing for him. I missed my son. I missed the way things used to be, when we could talk about anything and everything, when I felt like I was still a vital part of his life. Now everything was uncertain, and my place in his world seemed to be slowly slipping away. I spent my days keeping busy, gardening, cleaning, reading, but there was a constant weight in my chest, like an invisible hand squeezing me. I couldn't escape the feeling that everything I had known had been irrevocably altered. I had hoped that after confronting Lena, things would start to shift, that Adam would come to his senses and realize the truth about his life. But he hadn't reached out. In some ways, I didn't know what I was waiting for. Maybe I was waiting for an apology, or for him to admit he saw the manipulation, but deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. This wasn't just about one moment, one truth. This was about years of lies that had been carefully woven into the fabric of our family. I couldn't stay in limbo forever. I had to take control of my own life, no matter how painful it might be. I had given Adam everything I had for so many years, but now I realized I had to start focusing on myself. I needed to find peace, to reconnect with the woman I had been before the years of sacrifice and family obligations had defined me. I was still here, still a mother, still a grandmother, but I was also someone who deserved to be happy, to feel valued and respected. A week passed, and one evening, as I was preparing dinner, my favorite comfort food, a simple roast chicken with mashed potatoes and green beans, my phone rang. I almost didn't recognize the number. I hesitated before picking it up, my heart racing. When I heard Adam's voice on the other end, I felt a wave of relief mixed with a rush of emotion I wasn't prepared for. "Hi, Mom," he said, his voice sounding different, quieter than usual. "I've been thinking a lot about everything you said, about what happened with Lena." I held my breath, my fingers gripping the edge of the kitchen counter. "I'm glad you called, Adam. I've been waiting for you to reach out." "I didn't know how to say this, but I've been talking to her," he said, his voice faltering. "Lena, she's been lying. I know it now. I've been talking to David, and I know the truth. Noah isn't mine. I don't even know how to process all of it. But I'm here now, Mom. I'm here and I need you." Those words, the ones I had been waiting for, felt like a lifeline. I had known deep down that Adam would eventually see the truth, but hearing it from him, hearing him admit it, hearing the pain in his voice, was both a relief and a heartbreak. I wasn't the only one who had been manipulated. He had been, too. The anger, the hurt, the betrayal. He had felt it all, just as I had. "I'm so glad you finally see it, Adam. I know this isn't easy, but you've been living in a lie for so long. It's going to take time to process all of it, but I'm here for you. We'll get through this together." I don't know where to start, Mom. I don't know what to say. I don't even know if I can ever trust her again. She's made me question everything, everyone. I felt a pang in my chest for the son I had always known. So trusting, so loving. He had been manipulated so quietly, so subtly, that it had taken him years to see it. He had always trusted Lena, had believed in her vision of their perfect family. But now, that image was shattered, and it was a hard truth to accept. "You don't have to have all the answers right now, sweetheart," I said softly. "You don't need to rush into anything. I know it's going to be hard. But what's most important right now is that you focus on what you want. Not what Lena wants, not what anyone else wants, what you need. And I'm here to help you figure that out." "I'm scared, Mom. Scared of losing everything. My family, my life as I knew it. I don't know how to move forward from here." I closed my eyes, trying to hold back the tears that were threatening to fall. It wasn't just about Lena or Adam anymore. It was about the future, about rebuilding, about finding a way to move on and create something new from the wreckage of the past. "You don't have to lose everything, Adam. Not if you don't want to. But it's going to take time, and it's going to take honesty. You need to take care of yourself first, and that means making tough decisions. And if you need me, I'll be here. I'll always be here, no matter what." There was a long silence, and I could hear the weight of his thoughts on the other end. Finally, he spoke again, his voice quieter now, more vulnerable. "I'm sorry, Mom. I should have listened to you sooner. I should have seen it. I shook my head, even though he couldn't see me. You were just trying to do what was best for your family, Adam. I don't blame you. You didn't know, but now you do. And that's all that matters." "I don't want to lose you, Mom," he said, his voice cracking. "I've been so focused on everything else, and I've forgotten about you. I know I've let you down." I felt my heart swell with emotion. I had waited so long for him to see the truth, but hearing him finally admit it, hearing him take responsibility for his role in all of this, made everything worth it. He hadn't turned away from me. He was still my son, and I was still his mother. "You haven't let me down, Adam. You're still my son, and I'm still proud of you. But you need to take care of yourself now. You need to heal." The conversation ended with a promise to talk again soon, to work through the next steps together. I hung up the phone, my hands trembling, and I stood in the kitchen for a moment, letting everything sink in. Adam had finally seen the truth. It was a small victory, but it was one I had been waiting for, one I had hoped for with all my heart. The days that followed weren't easy. Adam took some time to process everything, to figure out where to go from here. But there was a sense of relief in knowing that he was no longer blind to the truth. And more than that, there was hope. Hope that, despite the damage done, we could rebuild. We could find our way back to each other. It wasn't going to be simple, and it wasn't going to be quick, but I knew one thing for sure. We weren't giving up. Not yet. Not when the truth had finally come to light. A few weeks passed after Adam and I had our conversation. There was a quiet stillness between us, a delicate tension in the air as we both processed everything. Adam had started making more regular calls, though they were often brief. He was still figuring things out with Lena, or rather, trying to figure out what his life looked like without her control. I could hear the struggle in his voice each time we spoke. There were moments when he seemed uncertain of everything, and other moments when I could feel the weight of his regret, though he never fully admitted it. But I understood. I didn't expect things to resolve overnight. It had taken me years to see the manipulation in the family, and it was clear it was going to take him much longer to fully come to terms with everything Lena had done. I spent my days trying to keep busy, but the emptiness of the house was palpable. The house that used to be full of laughter, family dinners, and the sound of children playing now felt too quiet, too still. Every little thing reminded me of the life I had once been part of, a life that now felt so far away. I would pass by the old family photos on the mantle and feel a pang of loss. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the fact that everything had changed, and I didn't know where I fit in anymore. Adam had started visiting again, but not as often as I had hoped. His visits were shorter, and he always seemed distracted. I knew he was struggling, trying to navigate the space between the woman he had loved and the truth he had discovered. There were moments when I felt like I was getting him back, that familiar bond we once shared, but it would always slip away just as quickly. I understood why. He had to rebuild his own life, redefine his relationships, and find out who he was without Lena's influence. One evening, as I was finishing dinner, I heard the doorbell ring. It was strange. I hadn't been expecting anyone. When I opened the door, I was surprised to find Adam standing there, looking more worn out than I'd seen him in a while. His face was tired, and there was a sadness in his eyes that hadn't been there before. "Mom, can we talk?" he asked, his voice hesitant. My heart skipped a beat. This was the moment I'd been waiting for, the moment when he was ready to have an honest conversation about everything, about Lena, about the lies, and about us. "Of course," I said, stepping aside to let him in. I led him to the kitchen, where I had just finished cleaning up. The familiar scent of roast chicken still lingered in the air, and for a moment, everything felt normal again, like old times. He sat down at the table, his posture slumped, as though the weight of the world was bearing down on him. I didn't know what to say, so I waited. I had learned over the years that sometimes silence spoke louder than words, especially when someone needed time to process their emotions. "I've been thinking a lot," he began, his voice quieter than usual, "about everything. About Lena, about the kids, and about you." I nodded, giving him the space to continue. I knew this wasn't going to be easy for him, but I was ready for it. We had come so far, and I wasn't going to let the walls of silence stand between us anymore. "I don't know where to begin," he said, his eyes downcast. "I feel so lost. Everything that I thought was true, everything I built my life around, it's all been a lie. Lena, the kids, I don't even know who I am anymore." His words stung, not because I didn't understand, because I did, but because it hurt to see him in this much pain. I had spent so many years protecting him, shielding him from hurt, but now I realized that I couldn't protect him from this. The truth was a force too powerful to ignore, and it had torn his world apart. But I knew we could rebuild it, even if it was hard. I had to believe that. "I know it's been hard for you," I said softly, "but you don't have to go through this alone, Adam. I'm here. I always will be." He looked up at me, his eyes red-rimmed, as though he had been holding back tears for a long time. "I've pushed you away, haven't I?" His voice cracked slightly as he spoke. "I've been so caught up in my own pain, in my own guilt, that I didn't even see what I was doing to you." I felt my throat tighten. "You were just trying to make sense of everything. It's not your fault. You didn't know what was happening, and neither did I. Not at first. I should have seen it. I should have seen what Lena was doing, but I was too blinded by her. And I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry I let it go on for so long. I'm sorry I didn't protect you, too." Hearing him apologize, seeing the regret in his eyes, made my heart ache. I had always wanted him to be happy, to live the life he wanted. But the truth was that I hadn't fully realized just how much he had been trapped in Lena's web, just how much he had been manipulated until it was almost too late. "Adam, you don't have to apologize. You were in love with her, and you trusted her. You didn't know what was really going on. But we can fix this, together. We can find our way back to each other." His eyes searched mine for a long moment, as if trying to gauge my sincerity. Then he nodded slowly. I don't know what comes next, Mom. I don't know if I can fix things with Lena, or if I even want to. I just know I don't want to lose you. I've already lost so much, but I can't lose you too. I'm not going anywhere, Adam, I said, reaching out to take his hand. You're my son, and I will always be here for you. No matter what happens with Lena, no matter how much time passes, we'll figure this out together. The words felt comforting, not just for him, but for me too. I had spent so many years putting everyone else's needs first, sacrificing my own happiness for the sake of my family. But in this moment, I realized that it wasn't too late to rebuild, to redefine my relationship with Adam, and to create a new, more honest family dynamic. It wasn't going to be easy, and there would be a lot of hard work ahead. But for the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful. We talked for hours that night. We talked about Lena, about the children, about how we were both going to navigate the aftermath of the truth. Adam told me that he wasn't sure if he was ready to confront Lena again, but he needed time to think about what he wanted and what was best for him. I understood. I wasn't going to rush him. I knew that rebuilding his life and finding a way to trust again would take time. Before he left that evening, he gave me a tight hug, something I hadn't felt from him in years. It felt like we were beginning to find our way back to each other, one step at a time. And though the road ahead was still uncertain, I knew that as long as we had each other, we would find our way through it. The days after Adam and I had that long conversation felt like a slow unraveling of everything I thought I knew about my family, but at the same time, they were also a small comfort. For the first time in what felt like years, I could breathe. The weight of the silence that had hung between Adam and me was finally starting to lift. He began calling more regularly, asking for advice, telling me about his life, about how things were going with Lena. Or rather, how things weren't going with her. He still hadn't decided what to do about his marriage, and I could hear the turmoil in his voice every time we spoke. But one thing was certain. He was no longer under Lena's spell. That, at least, was something I could be proud of. As the weeks passed, there was a marked difference in him. The old Adam, the one I knew before Lena came into the picture, was starting to emerge again. The son I had raised, the one who would call me just to chat about his day or share a joke, the one who would call me for advice when life got tough, was slowly coming back to me. And it was the most reassuring thing to witness. It wasn't going to happen overnight, and I knew there were still many challenges ahead. But for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had hope again. Hope that my family, the one that had been torn apart by lies and deceit, could be whole again. I had continued with my daily routine, trying to keep things as normal as possible. The house, though quieter than it used to be, felt a little less lonely now. I spent more time in the garden, nurturing the plants Adam and I had planted years ago, finding peace in the simple act of tending to them. But there was still an emptiness, a longing that I couldn't shake. I missed the sound of Mia and Noah's laughter filling the house, the warmth of family dinners, the way we used to come together, no matter what was happening in the world outside. I missed being needed, missed being the matriarch of the family, and though I knew Adam was trying, it wasn't quite the same. There was still the shadow of Lena between us, the barrier that she had built between me and the rest of the family. One afternoon, about a month after Adam and I had talked, I was sitting in the living room when I heard a knock at the door. It was an unexpected visitor, and as I opened it, I was stunned to see David standing there. He looked somewhat hesitant, his hands shoved into his coat pockets, as if he was unsure of himself. But when he saw me, a small, tentative smile crossed his face. "Loretta," he said softly, his voice careful, "can we talk? I think we need to discuss what's been going on. It's about the kids." I felt a tightness in my chest. I hadn't expected to see David, but I knew deep down that this conversation had been a long time coming. David had been the one who had opened my eyes to the truth about Lena and Noah, and though our relationship wasn't exactly close, I knew he was trying to help. He had always been there in the background, a part of the puzzle that was slowly falling into place. But now, with everything that had happened, I couldn't help but wonder where he fit into the picture. Come in, I said, stepping aside to let him in. What's going on, David? Is everything okay? He nodded, though his expression was somber. He followed me into the living room and sat down across from me, his hands still tense in his lap. I just wanted to check in, see how you're doing, and to talk about the kids, especially Noah. I've been thinking a lot about what's next. And well, I don't know how to say this, but I think I need to be involved in their lives more. And I think you need to know about some things that have come up. I felt a sense of unease in my chest. I knew David was serious, but what could he possibly mean? What are you talking about? Is something wrong? David hesitated, his gaze dropping to the floor for a moment before he looked up at me again. I've been looking into some things about Lena, and I think there's more to the story than I originally thought. I felt a chill go down my spine. More? What do you mean? Lena's been trying to manipulate everything, Loretta, David said, his voice firm now. It's not just about her past with me or her lies about Noah's paternity. She's been controlling Adam's every move, pulling the strings behind the scenes. And I don't think she's done yet. I don't think she's going to let go of him easily. She's still holding on, even though he's starting to see through her lies. I let out a breath I didn't realize I had been holding. The reality of what David was saying hit me harder than I anticipated. I knew Lena was manipulative, but hearing David confirm that she was still trying to control Adam, even now, made my stomach turn. Is he okay? I asked, my voice trembling. Is Adam going to be all right? David nodded slowly. I think he will be. But it's going to take time. He's not fully free of her influence, and that's the problem. I'm worried about how she'll react once he really starts pulling away. She's not going to let him go without a fight. I sat back in my chair, absorbing what he was saying. Adam had been through so much already, and now it felt like there was another layer of complexity being added to the situation. I had hoped, in some way, that the truth about Noah's paternity would free Adam from the hold Lena had on him. But hearing David's words made it clear that the road to freedom wasn't going to be easy. I'm worried about the kids too, David continued. Especially Noah. I've been trying to spend more time with him, but Lena, she's making it difficult. She's trying to keep me out of their lives. I nodded, understanding exactly what he meant. Lena had always been at making everything look perfect from the outside, but I had seen through it. I had seen how she manipulated Adam, how she tried to isolate him from everyone else. Now, she was doing the same with Noah and Emma, and it was heartbreaking to think about how much damage she could cause if she was allowed to keep controlling everything. I'll do whatever I can to help, I said, my voice steady with resolve. If there's a way I can help you get closer to the kids, if there's a way I can help Adam see the truth, I'll do it. We need to stick together now. We need to make sure Lena doesn't tear us apart. David smiled, his eyes softening a little. I appreciate that, Loretta. I really do. But this isn't going to be easy. Lena isn't going to give up without a fight. But at least now, I think we've got a fighting chance. I nodded, feeling the weight of everything that had happened settle deeper in my chest. The path ahead was uncertain, and I knew it would be difficult. But one thing had become crystal clear. We weren't going to let Lena tear our family apart. We had to fight for what mattered: our truth, our love, and our family. Thank you, David, I said quietly, for everything, for helping me see the truth. He gave me a nod, standing up to leave. We'll get through this, Loretta, together. And for the first time in a long time, I believed him. We weren't alone anymore. We had each other. The weeks following David's visit were a whirlwind of emotions. Adam seemed to be making slow progress in untangling himself from Lena's grasp, but I could see the weariness in his eyes each time we spoke. I knew it wasn't easy for him to confront the truth about his life, his marriage, and his role in everything that had unfolded. But there was something different about him now, something that gave me hope. The more time he spent away from Lena, the more clarity he seemed to gain, and with that clarity came the painful realization that he had been living a life built on lies. Adam started spending more time at my house. At first, it was just little visits, checking in, talking through what he was feeling, asking for advice. But as time went on, he began to open up more, sharing things he hadn't felt able to say before. He confessed how guilty he felt about not seeing the truth sooner. how he felt betrayed by Lena, and how, despite everything, he still loved her. But he was starting to realize that love alone wasn't enough to fix what had been broken. I could see him struggling with his emotions, torn between the woman he had spent years building a life with and the family that had always been there for him, even when he couldn't see it. One evening, after dinner, we sat together in the living room, and I could see the tension in his shoulders. I could tell he was holding something back, something he wasn't ready to share. But when he finally spoke, the words that came out were not what I expected. "Mom," he started, his voice tight, "I think I need to leave her." The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of everything he had been through. I could see the relief in his eyes, mixed with fear, fear of the unknown, fear of the consequences, but also, I realized, fear of finally letting go of a life he had tried so hard to hold on to, even when it had been slipping away for so long. "I've been thinking about it for a while now," he continued, his hand shaking slightly. "I don't know if I can ever trust her again, and I don't know if I even want to. She's done so much to me, to us. She's lied to me about Noah, about so many things, and I don't know if I can keep living in a marriage that's built on a lie." I didn't know what to say at first. I had seen this coming, of course, but hearing him say it out loud made my heart ache for him. He had been caught in this web of lies for so long, and now, at last, he was starting to see the truth. But that didn't make it any easier. I could feel the weight of his decision, the fear of what it would mean for his future, and the pain of having to let go of someone he had once loved so deeply. "I'm not saying this lightly, Mom," Adam added, his voice breaking. "I love the kids. Mia and Noah are my world, but I don't think I can stay with Lena anymore. I don't know if I can live with the person she's become, with the lies she's told, with how she's manipulated everything. I need to move on. I need to find out who I am again. I don't want to keep living in the past." I reached out and took his hand in mine. My heart ached for him, but I knew this was the right decision for him. He had spent so long in the shadow of Lena's control, and now, for the first time in years, he was finally starting to take control of his own life. It was painful, it was heartbreaking, but it was necessary. "I understand, Adam," I said softly. "I'm proud of you for finally seeing the truth. It's not going to be easy, but I'm here for you. Whatever happens, you're not alone." He nodded, tears welling in his eyes as he squeezed my hand. "I don't know how I'm going to do this, Mom. I don't know how to start over." "You don't have to have all the answers right now," I said. "Take it one step at a time. And remember, we'll figure this out together. You have me and you have David. We're all here for you." Adam's decision to leave Lena wasn't an easy one. There were moments of doubt, moments when he questioned if he was doing the right thing, but the more time he spent reflecting, the more certain he became. It wasn't just about the betrayal or the lies. It was about his happiness, his peace of mind, and his future. He had to rebuild his life, and that meant cutting ties with the person who had kept him in a suffocating grip for so long. The weeks that followed were full of difficult conversations, emotional moments, and painful realizations. Adam told Lena that he was leaving, and as expected, she didn't take it well. There were accusations, blame, and even more lies. Lena tried to manipulate Adam one last time, playing on his guilt, trying to convince him that he was making a mistake, that he would never be happy without her. But Adam was stronger than he had been before. He stood firm, and he walked away. As Adam started to rebuild his life, I saw him slowly begin to regain the man he used to be. He started spending more time with the kids, especially Noah. It wasn't easy. There were moments of awkwardness, of discomfort, but Noah welcomed him with open arms, as if nothing had changed, and in many ways, nothing had. Adam was still his father, no matter what the DNA said, and Noah still loved him, no matter the truth. That was the beauty of family. The bonds we create are stronger than anything else. But there was one thing that still weighed on my heart: the future. Adam was starting over, yes, but what about the rest of us? Could we ever go back to being the family we once were? I wasn't sure. I didn't know if there was any way to undo the years of manipulation, the lies, the hurt. But I knew one thing for certain: we couldn't go forward without facing the truth. The truth was painful, but it was also freeing. And as much as I wished things had turned out differently, I had to believe that this was the only way forward. And so we moved forward. Adam began rebuilding his life, and I too started to rebuild mine. It wasn't easy, but with each step, I felt lighter, more at peace. There were still obstacles ahead, still difficult decisions to make, but we were stronger now, and with each new day, I knew we were closer to healing. It wasn't going to be easy, and the road ahead was still uncertain. But one thing was clear: we weren't going to let the past define us anymore. The lies had been exposed, the truth had come to light, and now it was time to move on. Together. Life is full of challenges, and sometimes the hardest part is facing the truth. Whether it's about relationships, family, or our own personal growth, embracing the truth, even when it's painful, is the key to moving forward. It's important to remember that you deserve honesty, respect, and love, and you should never settle for anything less. If something feels off, or if you're being manipulated, trust your instincts and take the necessary steps to protect yourself. Reclaiming your life doesn't mean cutting people off or burning bridges, but it does mean setting boundaries, choosing authenticity, and prioritizing your happiness and well-being. It's never too late to rebuild, whether it's your relationships, your career, or your own sense of self. Don't be afraid to walk away from toxic situations, even if it means facing uncertainty. Surround yourself with those who truly care for you, and don't be afraid to lean on them when times get tough. Above all, remember that healing takes time, and it's okay to take small steps toward the future you deserve. Trust yourself, face the truth, and always keep moving forward, no matter how hard it may seem. You are stronger than you think.